So we're going to take a look at two column notes, and one of the easiest ways to set it up on your loose leaf is just kind of like a T-chart. Leave a bit more room for the notes, questions, and diagrams section. So we're going to take a look at this today by looking at a short section on a history textbook reading. The Zenger Trial. Colonists moved toward gaining a new right, freedom of the press, in 1735. That year, John Peter Zenger, publisher of the New York Weekly Journal, stood trial for printing criticism of New York's governor. The governor had removed a judge and tried to fix an election. So as you can see in our notes section, I'm going to write down who the main subject is here of this text. It's John Peter Zenger. I'm just taking some notes. I'm abbreviating what the text said. Okay, he's a newspaper publisher. And then what he got in trouble for, what he did. What was the purpose of this paragraph? So he was criticized, he criticized the New York governor for removing a judge and fixing an election. At the time, it was illegal to criticize the government in print. Andrew Hamilton defended Zenger at his trial, claiming that people had the right to speak the truth. The jury agreed, and Zenger was released. Here again, I'm just going to abbreviate the next paragraph. It was illegal to criticize the government in writing. English rights were part of the heritage uniting people in the British colonies. In the next section, you will read about another unifying force, a war against the French and their Indian allies. Okay, here we're going to wrap up our notes for this section. Zenger was eventually released. Okay, and this was based on English common law, so that's a piece of note we might want to add in there, a little background knowledge. So now I'm going to kind of separate this section, all right? Put a line underneath these notes, and I'm going to go through and highlight some of the important details, the main ideas about John Peter Zenger, and then I'm going to look through some of the other specific details. And I'm going to look at what do they have in common, and what's the big takeaway here, what's the big idea that I might want to use later to write an essay or to write a summary. And in the left column where the big idea goes, I put in the topic, which is the John Peter Zenger trial, and the idea here that we need to know is freedom of the press. Okay, just like our two column notes for text, two column notes with video is pretty much the same thing. I'm going to focus in on my notes first on the right side of the column.
Back in 1620, the colonists who founded Plymouth Colony in New England came up with the first agreement for self-government ever used in America. This agreement, or compact, was written aboard the ship the Mayflower, even before the settlers came ashore. And so it is called the Mayflower Compact.
Okay, just like in our text notes, when we're watching video, we're going to pause the video every so often to write down an important fact or detail that's going to help us with these notes. So we're looking at the Plymouth Colony when we're talking about the Mayflower, and something that the narrator said was that this created a form of self-government, which is something we spoke about in class. So therefore, I'm going to think this is an important detail.
By signing the compact, 41 men stated that they would form an organized government, a civil body politic for our better ordering and preservation, in order to enact just and equal laws for the general good of the colony.
So now I'm going to get down some more details and facts from what the narrator said. We found out that there was 48 men, and their goal was to create an organized government. And we had a quote, a just and equal set of laws.
Over time, villages all across New England used the same idea for self-government when they instituted town meetings to solve community problems. The framers of the Constitution were quite inspired by the long history of local self-government in America that began with the Mayflower Compact, and they wanted to make sure it continued.
And here at the end of the video, there's just a couple of pieces of information that we want to get down about the influence the Mayflower Compact and self-government had on town meetings and for the framers of our Constitution. Once we take notes for our section, the last thing we want to do is think about what the big ideas are. And again, here are big ideas that we have the Mayflower Compact, and that's leading to self-government.